Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something that almost everyone encounters but very few know how to handle: aggressive people. You know the type, the ones who try to dominate a conversation with volume, the ones who use harsh words, quick tempers and passive-aggressive jabs to shake your confidence, make you second-guess yourself, or throw you off your game. But here's the truth that no one ever teaches you in school. You don't need to raise your voice to raise your power. Aggression is loud, but real strength, real power, it's silent, it's calm, it's controlled. And when you learn to handle aggressive people without matching their chaos, when you learn to disarm them without even lifting your voice, that's when you take your power back. Because the goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to win your peace, to stand tall in the face of disrespect without ever stepping out of character, to look someone dead in the eye and say, with your tone, your presence and your words, "I'm not the one you can shake." Let's be clear, aggression often comes from a place of pain. It's a mask for fear, for insecurity, for loss of control. But when someone tries to dump their storm on you, it doesn't mean you have to invite that storm into your spirit. That's why today we're going to equip you with verbal strategies, powerful, simple tools that flip the script, make aggressive people uncomfortable in their own behavior, and most importantly, protect your peace in the process. This is not about being rude. It's not about being cold. This is about being in control. You see, most people either explode under pressure or shut down. They yell back, they cry, they walk away feeling defeated, but not you, not anymore. Because once you learn how to pause, lower your tone and speak with calm clarity, you'll realize something powerful. Aggressive people aren't as strong as they pretend to be. They're just loud. And the moment they see you're not moved by the noise, they lose their grip. We're going to walk through exactly what to say, how to say it, and how to maintain that power, not just in one heated moment, but in your daily life, in your relationships, at work, at home, anywhere someone tries to challenge your peace. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to not only defend yourself, but to do it with such grace and composure that the other person is left feeling one thing they never expected to feel. So let's begin. There's a powerful skill that most people never master: how to deal with aggressive people without losing your peace or your power. When someone tries to come at you with anger, when they raise their voice, throw out insults, or try to intimidate you, most people either explode or shut down. But not you, not anymore. Because real strength is not in yelling louder. It's not in throwing insults back. It's in staying calm, clear, and controlled when someone else is trying to push you off balance. The first verbal trick is simple but effective. Pause before you respond. When someone is being aggressive, they expect you to react immediately. They're feeding off your reaction. But the moment you pause, just for a second or two, you take that power away. You stop the emotional momentum. You put space between their words and your response. That space is where control lives. And during that pause, they start to feel the silence. They start to hear how harsh or foolish they sound. You don't have to say anything yet. Your stillness says it all. The second trick is this: lower your tone. When someone is yelling, their goal is to overpower you. If you raise your voice to match them, it becomes a battle of egos. But when you stay calm, when your voice is low, clear and steady, it makes them look unstable. They feel exposed. They start to feel embarrassed. Why? Because your calm makes their chaos stand out. It reminds them that they've lost control and you haven't. Now, here's the third trick: disarm with empathy. You say something like, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I want to understand what's really going on." That line catches them off guard. You're not fighting them. You're redirecting them. You're turning the emotional conversation into a rational one. And most aggressive people are not ready for that. They expect you to defend. They expect you to attack. But instead, you bring clarity, you bring maturity, and in doing that, you bring the upper hand. Aggression is often a mask. Behind it is frustration, insecurity, or pain. When you respond with calm strength and quiet confidence, you expose that mask and force the person to face himself. You don't need to yell. You don't need to match energy. You don't need to prove anything. Your power is in your restraint. And when you speak with intention instead of emotion, the aggressive person starts to realize they're not dealing with someone they can control. They're dealing with someone they can learn from. And in many cases, when the storm settles and your energy is still intact, they'll come back to you with the one thing they never thought they'd say. I'm sorry. Now that you understand the power of pausing, lowering your tone, and disarming with calm empathy, let's go deeper. Let's talk about the actual words and phrases you can use, verbal strategies that make even the most aggressive person stop, reflect, and eventually feel remorse for how they acted. Because here's the truth, words are not just tools, they're weapons when used wisely. And the right words, spoken with calm confidence, can shift the entire energy of a conversation. The first phrase is simple but powerful. Let's not go there. It creates an instant boundary. You don't argue. You don't explain. You don't feed into the drama. You shut the door before it even opens. When someone is being hostile or disrespectful and you calmly say, let's not go there, you're telling them, I won't be dragged into this. You're not giving them more fire to burn you with. You're giving them a moment to realize they're crossing a line. And if they keep pushing, that brings us to the next trick. Say this, we can talk, but not like this. Now you're setting a standard. You're not avoiding the conversation. You're not walking away. You're simply saying, if you want my attention, you'll have to respect me. This shifts the power dynamic. Instead of reacting to their aggression, you're now controlling the direction of the entire interaction. And the more calm you stay, the more uncomfortable they become with their own behavior. There's another phrase that hits hard without being rude. Are you okay? It seems innocent, but when said in response to someone's anger, it does something powerful. It forces self-reflection. Most people don't expect concern when they're being cruel. So when you calmly ask, are you okay? They start to realize how out of character they must look. You're not accusing. You're not defending. You're holding up a mirror, and most people don't like what they see in it. Next time someone comes at you with hostility, try this. I can see you're upset, I'm listening, but I won't be spoken to like that. It's a respectful shutdown. You're acknowledging their emotion, but you're not tolerating disrespect. And the more mature and composed you are, the more they'll feel the sting of their own immaturity. Because here's the truth, most aggressive people don't expect strength without aggression. They're used to people fighting back or shutting down. But when you respond with calm authority and sharp verbal boundaries, they start to see themselves clearly, and often it humbles them. You don't need to overpower anyone. You just need to stay rooted in your values. And when your words carry strength, your presence demands respect. In part 3, we'll break down how to maintain this power in long-term relationships, at work, in love, or in your family. Because true strength is not just about winning the moment, it's about owning your peace long-term. Stay focused, stay calm, stay in control. You've learned how to pause, stay calm, speak with authority, and use strategic phrases to disarm aggression. But now, it's time to go even deeper, because handling aggressive people isn't just about one moment. It's about how you carry yourself in everyday life, in relationships, at work, and even in your own home. So how do you maintain this strength long-term, especially when someone continues to test you? The key is consistency. Aggressive people are always watching to see if your calm is real or temporary. They want to know, can I eventually break them? That's why the most powerful verbal trick you can use over time is predictable confidence. Let's say someone keeps raising their voice in conversations with you. Every time you calmly respond with, we're not doing this. If you want to talk, let's do it respectfully. And then you walk away. Every time, no yelling, no dramatic exits, no emotional outbursts, just calm, firm action. Eventually they'll realize you're not changing your energy for anyone. You're not giving in. And that's when guilt starts to settle in. Because when someone constantly sees your peace, your maturity, and your boundaries, they start to look at themselves. And it's not always immediate. Sometimes people need time to feel the weight of their own behavior. But trust this, what you allow is what will continue. And what you consistently shut down will eventually stop. Another long-term tactic, ask reflective questions. When someone is aggressive or unfair, try saying this. Why do you think this is the best way to handle this? It makes them pause. It shifts the focus from emotion to logic. Now, instead of escalating, they're forced to explain. And often they can't, because deep down, most aggressive people know their behavior is wrong. They just aren't used to being challenged calmly. One more powerful phrase. Let's talk when we're both calm. I value our relationship, but I won't continue this way. This one hits hard because it shows strength and care at the same time. You're not walking away to hurt them. You're walking away because you respect yourself and the relationship too much to let it turn toxic. Over time, this kind of maturity stands out and makes people think and makes them reflect. And often it makes them feel sorry, not because you forced them, but because you showed them a better way to handle conflict. That's the real power of these verbal tricks. They're not about winning arguments. They're about keeping your peace, demanding respect, and walking in a confidence that makes aggressive energy shrink. Because when you refuse to match their chaos and instead offer clarity, boundaries, and strength, they either level up to meet you or they quietly fall back. Either way, you win. And that's how you make an aggressive person truly sorry, not with anger, not with revenge, but with wisdom, peace, and power. Now, go walk in that power every day. So let's bring it all together. We live in a world where aggression is often mistaken for strength, where volume is confused with power and emotional chaos is seen as passion. But you're different now. You're equipped, you're grounded, and most importantly, you're in control. You've just learned that true power doesn't come from being the loudest voice in the room. It doesn't come from clapping back, escalating conflict, or trying to win every interaction. Real power comes from knowing who you are and refusing to let someone else's storm shake your foundation. Handling aggressive people isn't about proving yourself, it's about protecting your peace. Think about it. How many times have you walked away from an argument feeling drained, replaying everything you wish you had said? That ends today. Because now, you don't need to play their game. You have the tools to shut it down before it even begins. You now understand the power of a pause, that one breath, one intentional silence can diffuse an entire situation. You've learned that a low, steady tone can disarm someone more effectively than any raised voice ever could. You've seen how a question like, "Are you okay?" or a statement like, "Let's not go there," can throw off their entire strategy. Why? Because aggressive people feed off reactions. They expect chaos. But when you show up with calm, clarity, and composure, it's like pulling the rug out from under them. You remove their fuel. You break the cycle. And it doesn't stop there. This is about more than just one heated moment. This is about becoming someone who sets the tone for every room you enter. Someone who commands respect without ever having to demand it. Someone who leads with strength, not noise. When you respond with grace, with wisdom, and with unshakable inner peace, you don't just make the other person uncomfortable, you make them reflect, you make them reevaluate their behavior, and in time, you make them change. Not because you force them to, but because you inspired them to. Remember this. Every time you choose calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and peace over pride, you win. Not the argument, not the moment, but your power, your dignity, your peace of mind. And maybe, just maybe, your strength will become the mirror someone else needed to finally see themselves clearly. So don't underestimate the power of silence, don't undervalue the strength of steady words, and never let someone else's aggression define your energy. You are strong, you are wise, and you are in control. Let the world rage, if it must. You stay calm. Because the loudest one isn't always the strongest, the calmest one is. Now go out there, stand tall, speak with purpose, hold your peace like a crown. And the next time someone tries to shake you, smile and remind yourself, I'm not the one.